the first year that we owned Bougie on the Beach, it saved us almost $400,000 in taxes. Hey there, you. Welcome back to the podcast. I know I always say I'm excited for this podcast episode, but for real, I am so excited for this podcast episode. I've been trying to figure out, like, are enough of you going to be interested in this topic, and how do I present it really well? And I feel really passionate about this topic. And so I think for a lot of you business owners, you're going to love this. And even if you're not a business owner, it's going to be something that you can gather from this topic. But what we're talking about today is why I think business owners should consider purchasing a property that they use for a short-term rental. Okay. And I'm going to give you 6 reasons to support my case to get you to go buy something. Okay. And so let me give you just the tiniest bit of backstory. So my husband, Jason, and I, who are nearing 28 years of blessed marriage, friends. We purchased our first Airbnb back in 2021. I wish that we had been smart enough to buy it prior to 2020, but you just didn't know what you don't know. And I also didn't realize all of the amazing benefits that would come from it, which I'm about to give you, and how good it would be for us financially. And I think that you go through a time like when you've had money and then not had money and then had money again, you tend to a lot of times want to keep it there for fear of the other shoe dropping. And so, for a while we could have afforded a short-term rental like years before we actually purchased one. But I also was just, I think, a little bit afraid to make the purchase. Jason and I have talked in other podcast episodes. I feel like in our marriage, I'm probably the one that is the most likely to take financial risks, um, which is interesting because I'm also probably the one that's mostly the saver. But I try to really rely heavily on gut feelings, what I feel like the Lord's instructing us to do. And so often when I just trust God with our finances, then I'm like, oh, gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? So that's kind of the case for Jason and I with the first property that we bought it's in, you can say the Inlet Beach area or Seacrest area in Florida. So it's up on the Panhandle in a phenomenal area called 30A. If you've never been there, like, how can we even be friends? It is amazing to me how many people have never heard of 30A. 30A is the actual highway that is 18 miles long. And on that 18-mile long highway are 11 tiny little towns, each one very unique, everything from the quirky Grayton Beach to the very elite Alice Beach, which is where we're right next to. That's where all the movie stars and country western singers have properties. It looks like Greece, okay? It looks like it's out of a stinking magazine. It's beautiful. That is not where we own. But anyway, we purchased in 2021 a little 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo right on the ocean in Seacrest. And it has been such a gift to our family. And then about a year after that, our son Easton had decided to go to college at Grand Canyon University, which is in Phoenix, Arizona. Jason is an avid golfer. As you know, he owns a golf polo company called Fairway Finest. We live on a golf course. All of our kids golf. Ari's even taking golf lessons this summer. I grew up on a golf course. I've known how to golf since I was 12 years old. So we're a golf family. Okay. So I don't ever play anymore, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, we love golf. And so since Easton was going to be going to college in the Phoenix area, Jason and I decided to look at real estate down in like the Scottsdale area. So we looked in Scottsdale, and that was kind of a like bummer of an experience. And I don't want to get too far into this because I actually have like a whole nother podcast where I talk about this. You can go to jenniferallwood.com/short-term rental if you want to listen to that. But anyway, it felt like when we were looking in Scottsdale that we were just in Kansas City, but the weather was hotter. We would find a house, it would have a pool, but I couldn't like see the desert. I couldn't see like mountains or anything. And we really wanted that experience. So we ended up buying a property in Fountain Hills, Arizona. It's called Bougie in the Desert. You can go find that on Instagram. The first one is Bougie on the Beach, and it's spelled Boujee. So we have Bougie on the Beach. Then we got Bougie on the Desert, which is in Fountain Hills, Arizona. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath that has been such a blessing to our family because then our oldest son, Noah, ended up relocating to Scottsdale for a job. And so we were able to go see 2 boys for the last 3 years at that property. That's been amazing. And then About 6 months ago, we purchased our third Airbnb, which is in Miramar Beach, Florida. So that's really close to Destin, Florida. It's about 30 minutes away from our other property in Florida. It is also on the beach. It's just much bigger. It's a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, like 2,300 square feet. And I am absolutely in love with that. That one is called Bougie on Miramar Beach. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background. And by the way, if you need a vacation place to go to for the month of April or May, we have 15% off of all stays at Bougie on Miramar Beach. And so you can go to bougieonmiramarbeach.com. If you just go to the direct booking link, you can use the coupon Bougie15. There is my very unselfish plug right there. But that'll give you 15% off any stays in April or May. What has happened is this. We put the property up on like Airbnb and VRBO last month, and we have a ton of bookings for like June, July, August, but we just hardly have anything for April and May, and we'd like to get some people in there. And I think one of the reasons we don't have a lot of people booked for there yet is because we don't have any reviews or anything, because we're a brand new property. So, but this is our third, and we're super excited about it. So I was thinking about, our background, and I was also thinking as I was preparing notes for this podcast, how many friends do that I have in the business space, that Jason and I have in the business space, who also own their own short-term rentals. Okay, I was thinking like we have friends, Mindy and Jordan Linscomb. They also own an Airbnb down on 30A, and then another one in, I believe it's Oklahoma as well. I was thinking of my friend Catherine Gordon. Her and her husband were in a mastermind with me. Her husband John Gordon is famous author, best-selling author. They have several rental properties. Pete Vargas was a business coach of mine. We've partnered to do some things together. He's came and spoke at one of my masterminds. They had an Airbnb in Scottsdale. Tanner Bell is a new friend of mine who has property down on 30A that he rents out. Brooke Riley was a client turned friend, and she had a property in Florida that she was renting out also. And so there are reasons. That's just a handful of people I'm giving you. But there are reasons that a lot of business owners have short-term rental property. And so I want to give you some of those reasons, because I personally think that every business owner, if they have the ability to do so, should absolutely buy some property. And did you know, by the way, that if you look at statistics for millionaires, 90% of all millionaires own property aside from just the property that they reside in full time. So owning real estate, buying real estate is always a good deal. Okay. And even, yes, when prices are high, because the cost of real estate is not going down anytime soon, but even when interest rates are high, because see, here's what people fail to realize. Yes, interest rates may be higher right now than what you would like for them to be. But let's say it takes 2 or 3 years for the cost for the interest rates to go down to where you would like to actually, get a low interest rate. But during that time, the value of your property has gone up so much that like now you missed out on all that. Let me give you an example. And I'm going to give you like a real number here, which feels just really, really, really vulnerable. But I want to be one of those people that show you like bank account numbers and talk about how many millions of dollars I've made in the last 10 years online. It's always hard for me to do that because I try to like balance that with just, we've got kids that get a hard time already for our family's position. Then it's out there for all the family to see, and it just feels awkward. But I will give you this statistic. So when Jason and I purchased Bougie on the Beach 3.5 years ago, that's the 2 bedroom, 2 bath, the small one. That's the lowest priced one we purchased. We got it for $847,000. So let's just say 850. Okay, so we bought it for 850. Today, it is, if we listed it for sale today, it would go for 1.3 million. So in 3.5 years, the cost of that property for somebody else to buy it has gone up $500,000. So if we had waited, if the interest rates had been high 3 years ago, so we waited till interest rates came down, we would have been missing out on all that equity, and we wouldn't have been able to probably afford it at 1.3. Does that make sense? Like, so those of you that are like, we're waiting until interest rates drop. No, buy now. And then as soon as interest rates drop, what do you call it? What do you call it? You redo your loan. Why can't I think of the words? Menopause is hard. But you redo your loan at the lower interest rate. What is the word? Somebody on YouTube tell me right now. Maybe this clip in my hair is just way too tight. Also, I think my hair is cute today. Okay, so that's just like the backstory of everything I'm about to go through. But I want to give you literally 6 reasons why I think if you are a business owner, you are perfect for a short-term rental. Okay, are you ready? Business owners, take notes because I'm smart and I want to make sure you remember this stuff. All right, number 1. Um, Number one is that having a short-term rental property versus a long-term rental. So a short-term rental is, people can book it for a couple weeks at a time maximum, but it's usually 3 days to like 21 days that you have people book. A long-term rental are people that book out their properties for like 3 months at a time, 6 months at a time. We do not do that. And there's a lot of reasons why we don't do that. I can get into that on a whole nother podcast. But um, the first thing here is that having a short-term rental is just an additional income stream. And if we're going to talk about millionaires, and if that's what you're aspiring to be, hope to be, or already are one, I need for you to know that the average millionaire has 7 revenue streams already. Okay. Also, if you look in Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, and I think it's in chapter 11, verse 2, but don't quote me. It could also be chapter 2, verse 11, but I think it's 11:2. It says that the Lord says you should have 7, yes, even 8 ways of bringing money into the storehouse, which means that a lot of different revenue streams are always wise. Because if one of your revenue streams dries up, maybe you used to write books, now you can't write books for some reason, your hand is broken. So you still have other revenue, other ways of making money. Maybe you own a painting company, but you can no longer do that because you can't go up and down ladders anymore. Well, you still have other ways of making money. Maybe you have a product-based company, but now with the new tariffs and things, you can no longer do that. Okay, well, at least you have other ways of making money. So an additional revenue stream, when you're charging people to come stay at your Airbnb, it's going to like diversify, the ways that you are making money, an additional way beyond just your primary business. And it is like a semi-passive type of income, especially if you have a management company, which I highly suggest you do. And I talk about that I have a free podcast series you can go to. It's called jenniferallwood.com/short-term rental. There's 4 parts, and I'll send it to your email if you go to that. And I talk about why we really suggest having a management company, unless you really have the capacity to learn how to manage it. But if you have a management company, that's really kind of hands off for you. And it also can really offset your revenue in slow seasons for your main business. So let's say you have a business that is highly dependent on the time of year, like you have a health and wellness business. So you do great in, quarter 1 every year because everybody's trying to lose their holiday weight. But you do really poorly during the summer. Well, a lot of short-term rentals, especially the ones on the beach, like cha-ching during the summer. So that's really helpful. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, and possibly the most important, you guys, there are so many tax benefits to you owning a short-term rental. Now, of course, talk to your CPA, talk to your tax person. If you don't have a CPA or a tax person, I guarantee you are paying way too much in taxes every year. You are not writing off enough. You need to invest in a tax person, okay? They know laws that you and I just never could. They are able to figure out deductions for you all within your right and your ability to take that are very much legal. So when you think about the tax benefits of a short-term rental, we get so many tax benefits because we're paying, a mortgage every month on our short-term rentals. We did not pay cash for any of them. So we have a mortgage on all 3. So you get to write off, the interest on that. You get to write off your property taxes. You get to write off maintenance. You get to write off the travel that you go to the property to check on, to stay there, etc. The first year, I'm going to blow your mind here for just a second, but it's also a very vulnerable number to give you. But, when you are making several $1,000,000 every year in a coaching business, you owe a lot of money in taxes. And the first year that we owned Bougie on the Beach, it saved us almost $400,000 in taxes. Okay. Can I just say that again? And it's wild for me to even say because there was a time when I couldn't even imagine making 400K a year, but then it saved us $400,000 almost in taxes the first year we owned that. Okay. There's something called cost segregation. It accelerates depreciation on things. It's a tax strategy. Let me read this so I don't read it wrong. Okay. Cost segregation is a commonly used strategic tax planning tool that allows companies and individuals who have constructed, purchased, expanded, or remodeled any kind of real estate to increase their cash flow by accelerating the depreciation deductions and deferring federal and state income taxes. Okay, so there was some concern that based on who was put into office in our last election, that this would go away. Because Trump was put into office, this is still in place. So again, talk to your tax person. But basically what that means is this: you get incredible tax benefits when you purchase a short-term rental and do any sort of renovation to it. So go talk to your tax person. I am not one of those. But there are so many advantages to owning a short-term rental, the biggest one being tax benefits that will offset the amount of money you are making in your company otherwise. Okay. Third reason, if you're a small business owner, you should invest in a short-term rental. You can leverage the business skills and the assets that you already have. Okay. Listen, if you have a successful business in the online space or otherwise, a brick and mortar, a service-based company, whatever, you already understand marketing. You already understand customer service. You already understand profit and loss statements, operations, those things. Those skills all translate into running an Airbnb or a VRBO. They all do. You already understand branding. You already understand, social media. And so you understand how you could design like, a really great website on social medias for your rental property. We have used my Equip 360 software. That's EQUIPT 360 software. It's my all-in-one marketing software to do a landing page for every single one of our short-term rentals. So we send people to bougieonthebeach.com, bougieonmiramarbeach.com, and bougieindethedesert.com. When you get there, it says, here's how you can book direct with us, which goes to our management company. Here's how you can go to Airbnb, and here's how you can go to VRBO. All of those were designed inside of my software. And so because you're already a business, like you understand you need landing pages for a short-term rental. You can go look at the social media accounts for all three of our properties. They all three do really, really well. It's because I already understand social media because I have another business. And by the way, if you have an email list, which if you don't, oh my gosh, go to equip360.com, get signed up, get an email list with us, please, pretty please. But if you have an email list, then you understand that you can email people that are currently on your list for one business about the fact that you have a VRB over here. I have 100,000 something people on my Instagram, but I can post about my Airbnbs on that Instagram, tagging, the Bougie on Miramar Beach or whatever. So I'm leveraging what I've already built for my main business to build a second business, to build our real estate company. And so, again, if you don't have an email list and you don't understand how to do social media, go to equip360.com. We can get your email list set up with you, teach you how to do that, and you get training every month on social media from me. So go do that. But literally, you're just leveraging stuff that you've already invested in, you have already figured out, you're already using to build, a following for your first Airbnb. It's brilliant. Okay. Fourth reason you need an Airbnb. It is such an incredible place to do family outings for you and business retreats for your company. And it's all a write-off. So we have used our property in Arizona, Bougie in the Desert, for a mastermind event. We had 50 women there, I believe. There was 45-ish, 50 women there by the time we were said and done. We have gone to a team retreat there. So I treated my team to, 3 or 4 days there. We did some outings. We took dune buggies out in the desert. We've done other things with other masterminds where we've done hot air balloon rides in Arizona. Like all of that, again, talk to your bookkeeper, your CPA, but can be used as a write-off for business purposes. I have given away, one time we were doing an affiliate thing where I was selling one of my courses and we had some affiliates helping me sell it. And the winner of whoever sold the most of those courses for me, we gave them like 3 nights at Bougie on the Beach. And my client turned friend, Brooke Riley, she won that, was able to go stay there. And then she's like, tagging her stay there, which is just helpful for us to get more eyeballs on it, etc. We have a couple people this year that are influencers in the online space that are also friends of mine that are going to be going to stay at our new property, Bougie on Miramar Beach, and I'm letting them stay for free. They will tag it. That way we get more followers. We get our property in front of other people. Like it's a win-win-win. But we have used our properties as prizes before. In addition, we have given away a stay. Like we still have a little one in grade school. We're almost done with grade school, friends. We have had a child in grade school for 18 years straight. 18 years straight. But because we adopted little Ari, years ago, we're still in grade school. My hair's falling over if you're watching on YouTube. Sorry, I'm jacking with it. But there was like a, what do you call it? Like a silent auction. No, it wasn't a silent auction because it wasn't silent. We were literally walking around her school bidding on particular things. And we were contacted by her school and somebody said, hey, could you give away a couple nights from your property? And I'm like, sure, because it's my daughter's school. Now we've been approached by so many other schools since then. Sorry. We're doing it for our kiddos' school. So please don't DM me about that. But we used a 3-day stay as a prize. And, the people paid money for that, but that money went to my daughter's school. We have also been contacted by a couple of churches, and one of them was having like a marriage conference. And they said, we know, you and Jason have gone through your own struggles in your marriage, which we've been pretty vocal about, that our first year of marriage was hell on wheels. It was HE double hockey sticks all the way. And so we are a huge believer in marriage conferences, marriage counseling, doing whatever you need to do to keep your marriage alive and healthy. And so we had a local church that was having like a marriage conference. They asked us if we would give away a couple days at one of our properties. And so we said we'd be happy to. And we gave away 3 or 4 nights at Bougie in the Desert. Well, it ended up that the people that won that prize at their marriage conference hadn't been on a family vacation in years and years and years, and they wanted to take their adult kids. And so I looked at the calendar and we ended up giving them 5 or 6 nights for free. In fact, I went and made sure that I had my notes correct. And so I'm going to look at my screen here just so that I could tell you for sure. We have really tried hard to use all of our properties as a form of ministry in a way. We have let a friend of ours, go stay after she went through a divorce. We have let a friend go and stay after the loss of her spouse. We have let a family go stay who was in, just they were in really deep with one of their children, just really struggling. We've let another family that we know who just they needed some time for their marriage. We've let them all go stay for free and just pay for the cleaning cost. So just to make sure I was right, I went and looked up our numbers. Last year in 2024, we gave away 47 nights to 9 different families for our property in Arizona. And that to me, it feels so good. I can't even, it makes me want to cry that that God would even allow us to have the house that we live in full time. And on top of that, allow us to have 3 other beautiful homes. And, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much will be required. And we've been given much. And God's not requiring that we share it. But the Bible also says, that we are blessed to be a blessing. And so we want to bless other people. So we were happy to give away 47 nights last year to 9 different families at our Arizona house. To Bougie on the Beach, I went and added it up. We gave away 41 nights to 8 different families. And so, there's such a potential for you to use a short-term rental for write-offs, for business retreats, for a sanctuary for you and your family, but also to like gift it to others. And when that happens and you have a family tell you what that means to take their first family vacation in years and they never could have went otherwise, like, oh my gosh, it just fills my love bucket. And so we have been so happy to do that. We just let our future daughter-in-law just do her bachelorette party at the new property, Bougie and Miramar Beach. We just let, we have some friends who have kids getting married, and we let their kids go to a honeymoon. We have some other friends whose their kids are getting married. We're letting them go use our other property for their honeymoon. So listen, it's not just for you. Buy a short-term rental and let other people use it too, because you are blessed to be a blessing. You have been given a business on this side of heaven. A lot of you are making really good money, and you could put that really good money to really good use. And so there's that. All right. So that's point number 4. Point number 5. Let's talk just about the long-term, like wealth building opportunity. Okay. It is my desire and Jason's desire for us to have at least 4 short-term rentals, that because we have 4 children and we want to gift each of our kids a short-term rental when we're no longer here. They can sell it later on. They can, live in it full time. They can use it as a rental property, whatever. But what a gift I think that would be to our kids. And, Jason and I, we don't have anything like that. We're not going to be in that position where a parent is leaving us anything. And, no shade thrown at our parents at all, but we just want to do it different for our kids. So we currently own 3. We are going to be probably selling the Arizona one. And I can tell you all about that later. But we're looking to buy our next one at the Lake of the Ozarks, which is a little closer to home. And then we've got to get a 4th somewhere. So that is on, our dream list, our to-do list, and our kids will be able to do what they want with that eventually. And so is such a huge, like, advantage to long-term wealth building. And let me tell you, I was talking to a friend of mine down when we were at our new property in Miramar Beach. So that's Bougie and Miramar Beach. I was talking to her recently, and she has the most incredible condo, you guys. She lives down in that area. Her condo like looks out into the ocean. Her deck wraps around the front of her condo and on both sides. And all you can see is ocean for miles and miles. So above her kitchen sink on this condo is a window that when she does dishes, she told me watching dolphins play in the ocean. And I said to her, girl, don't you ever sell this thing without talking to me first. And she's like, honey, I've got, you're in line between 20 other people. But they were given, or maybe they purchased it, but I think they were given that property from their parents. And so that just confirmed to Jason and I what we already wanted to do is we want to be able to give our kids a property one day. And so when you think about the long-term wealth building for you or for your kids, so like I told you, we bought the first one for 847. If we listed it today, it would go on the market for at least 1.3, probably 1.4 if we were selling it completely furnished. So, in 3 years' time, it's made that sort of we would make that sort of equity. And imagine if you have something for 20 years and then give it to your kids. I mean, I know there's people in our building who were able to purchase the condos when they were first bought. And this is from Vision of the Beach for less than $100,000, and they're now going for, almost 1.5 million. That is quite a gift to your children someday. So there's that. Sixth reason is just the lifestyle perks. So we block off a lot of days for us to use at our properties ourselves. It's a great excuse for us to like vacation away from home without spending a ton of money. We mostly fly for free. And I do have a podcast episode. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick, and I'll have Easton put this in the show notes. But let me Google Jennifer Allwood. This is how I find my own stuff. Jennifer Allwood podcast, fly for free. It is episode number 498. So if you listen to episode 498, we tell you how we mostly fly for free. We have a companion pass for Jason and I both. So Ava flies for free, Ari flies for free, and then we accumulate a ton of points with Southwest. And so, it's a really cheap vacation if you're basically flying for free, going to a place you already own. Does that make sense? And so, plus, if you have built a business like what I teach people, which is to be able to work from anywhere, to have time freedom, money freedom, and location freedom, then you're still able to work when you go to your place, right? Also, I have a really difficult time. Let me just say this, and I'm going to Google one more thing here. I have a very difficult time being on what other people, I guess, would call a staycation and not working. So if I am in Kansas City at our primary residence, I will find myself on email. I will find myself in my office. I will find myself on my phone, checking things way more than I need to, way more than I should be. And I don't want to do that. Best ideas in the shower. I want to be able to unplug. Unfortunately, I can't often unplug in Kansas City. So, if I go to one of our other properties, it's just so different. I can completely forget, oh yeah, I need to check email for half a day at a time. When otherwise I'm checking it every hour or every 30 minutes. I can forget, oh yeah, I've got to post on social media. Like, it allows me to get recentered and to really have some great ideas about business. Now, I did an episode that I want you guys to also go listen to. It's podcast episode 424, and it's entitled, Why Do the Best business ideas come in the shower? But it's not about the shower. It's about getting around water when you feel stuck, when you feel like your creativity has died, when you don't know what to do next in business. Go get around water. Go either get in a shower or go outside next to a swimming pool, or go walk on the beach, which is what I do all the time. Or go take a walk, by a babbling brook somewhere, or start a fountain in your backyard. But when you can get around water in particular, it will there's both biblical reasons that you get a lot of ideas around water, and also biological reasons. So I talk about that in episode, what did I just say? 424. So go listen to that. But anyway, for me, I just have to get out and away from our primary home. And when I do, I'm able to think through business things so much more. And I come back and we're able to, have new ideas, a fresh perspective, et cetera. So those are your 6 reasons that you need to be having a short-term rental. Let me recap here, okay? Number 1, it's another revenue stream. Number 2, incredible tax benefits. Number 3, you already have so many business skills anyway that will just carry on over. Number 4, there's the potential for business retreats, for write-offs. Number 5, you're going to appreciate in that it's long-term wealth that appreciates over time. And number 6 was the personal use and the lifestyle perks. So again, I do have a whole training on how we found our first short-term rental, what we looked for, how we, decorate it and remodel it when we're not there in person. So if you want to go to jenniferallwood.com/short-term rental, I would absolutely do that. And again, if you need, like, if you already have a short-term rental and you're like, but I need an email list for it, go to equip360.com. If you don't have an email list yet for your business, go to equip360.com, but you need an email list. And I think also if you're making really great money in your regular business, you need your first short-term rental as well. So, all right, this was fun for me, friends. I am not an expert in this area, but after owning 3 for the last 3.5 years, I feel like I know a thing or two. Thank you for listening to me babble. I always appreciate you so much. If you know of somebody who's ever considered having an Airbnb or a VRBO, share this podcast episode with them, please. It would be such a blessing to me. Love you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye. Easton, do you think that they believe me when I say love you so much and see you soon? I mean, those are both lies, right? It's like I don't know them. I don't know who's listening. I probably wouldn't love them. Who knows?